You must be very careful of what you give your attention to. It is not every matter that requires your attention. It is not every discussion that requires your attention. It is not every event that requires your attention. It is not everything going on around you that requires your attention. It is not everything people come to tell you that requires your attention. It is not everything they say that requires your attention. It is not everything you heard that requires your attention. There are some things you hear, you pretend not to hear. There are some things you see, you pretend not to see. There are some things you know, you pretend not to know. Because once your attention is gotten, it is easy to deceive you. And that is why you need to be vigilant so that you will not be deceived. And that is why you need to be sensitive so that you will not be deceived. You have to pray to have that discerning spirit to know when not to give your attention, when not to talk, when not to act, when not to react, when not to say, when not to give your attention. You need to have that spirit of discernment. You need to be sensitive in the spirit to know that this person talking to me, these people coming to me, their intention is not right. Their plan is not actually right. There is something somewhere that is not right about this person, about these people. Because the moment they can captivate your attention, it becomes easier for them to deceive you. In this case here in Genesis chapter 3, from verse 1 to verse 6, the serpent needed the whole of Eve's attention. And the serpent got the whole of Eve's attention. Because if Eve had not given attention to the serpent wouldn't have gotten the whole time to be conversing with her, to be introducing things to her, to be telling her what to do and what not to do. It was because Eve gave the serpent the whole of her attention. And this led me to understand that whatever you do not give your attention cannot deceive you. Anytime a deceiver is around, the deceiver needs your attention. Anytime a deceiver wants to strike, the deceiver needs your attention. Anytime a deceiver wants to carry out an operation, the deceiver needs your attention. Because without your total attention, the deceiver cannot have access to strike. Because without your total attention, there is no way the deceiver can actually come in to carry out his or her operation. And so, you must be very careful to what you give your attention to. You must be very careful to who you give your attention to. You must be very careful to what you give your attention to, because not everything requires your attention. Not everyone requires your attention. Not every situation requires your attention. Not everything you heard requires your attention. Not everything you saw requires your attention. Not everything you know requires your attention, because that attention you give may just be the trap that the deceiver, that the enemy, that the serpent, that the Satan needs to perfect his operation. How do I be vigilant not to give my attention where it's not needed? Number one, you have to be someone who is filled with the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit. Number two, you have to be somebody who has a quality prayer life, who does not joke with prayers. Number three, you have to be somebody who has a spirit of discernment. Number four, you have to be someone who is sensitive in the spirit. Otherwise, it will be easy for the deceiver to get your attention. Because without your attention, there is no way a deceiver can carry out his operation.